Sup guys, it's Alex here, and welcome to the February 5th Bracketology. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you guys enjoy this video. And before we get started on the actual Bracketology itself, I just wanted to let you guys know that there is an NCAA tournament ticket giveaway going on if I reach 2,000 subscribers by March 1st. Right now I'm at 1,909, and it is February 5th, as you can see right there. And as I said in the video, so we got about a month to go. We need just under 100 subscribers. Make sure you subscribe if you are new. Make sure if you are subscribed to go get your friends. Tell them to subscribe. That way we can all get try to get into for the NCAA tournament ticket giveaway. On March 1st, I'll be releasing a video if I get to 2,000 subscribers, talking about the details for the giveaway, or if I get to 2,000 subscribers beforehand, I'll make the video beforehand. And I'll be giving away an NCAA tournament ticket to somebody. Last year I gave one away, and they went to Pittsburgh and had a great time for the first round there. So hopefully you guys get us to 2,000 subscribers and get a free NCAA tournament ticket out of it and see some great games. So I'm going to do that little shameless plug right there, and let's go ahead and get into the Bracketology. So after a crazy weekend with Friday night games, with Michigan losing on Friday night and Michigan State losing on Saturday night, and then a couple other games happening as well, Joe Lunardi has released his new Bracketology, the one during the week. He releases one on Tuesdays and Fridays. And for this week, there's a pretty good amount of movement, as you can see right there. There's a lot of moving up right there, and then some moving down. Bubble has changed. And I'll go ahead and do some quick little analyses about each individual team. Duke remains the same. Bucknell is new to the field. Baylor has been really impressive this season. They are now an 8 seed after being nowhere near close to the tournament, just even in December. And Ohio State is now up to a 9. They're starting to get some wins now after having that 4 or 5 game losing streak earlier. LSU remains a 5. Davidson's new to the field. Villanova is now a 4, or remains a 4. South Dakota State is now a 13, moving up. Buffalo remains a 6. Lipscomb's up to an 11. Purdue remains a 3. Georgia State is new to the field as a 14. Florida State remains a 7. Texas remains a 10. Kentucky remains a 2 after their comeback win against Florida. And Princeton is new to the field. And then we'll go over here to the South Regional, where I will be attending the NCAA tournament for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. I'm so pumped for that. I know I'm a fan of Kentucky, so hopefully we can get Kentucky in that Louisville Regional, but we'll see what happens there. I mean, I'd be okay with seeing Virginia, Michigan, Marquette, and Houston, or Iowa State possibly. We'll see what happens whenever I create the Bracketology, but there's going to be a huge game this weekend, Virginia versus Duke. I think Virginia's going to win that because it's going to be at Virginia, and maybe that'll put them in the #1 overall spot, and then just move Duke over here to the Louisville Regional. Riders remains a 16. Ole Miss is now an 8 seed, which I think is still a bit high for them. Minnesota is now remains a 9. Iowa State, after their 1-point win against Oklahoma last night, remains at 5. New Mexico State remains at 12. Houston is now remains at 4, and Murray State is now new to the field at John Morant. Iowa remains at 6. Wofford is now up to an 11. Marquette remains at 3 with Marcus Howard. UC Irvine is now up to a 14. Kansas State is new to the field, or not is not new to the field, remains the same. UCF remains the same, which I'm surprised UCF's still there. They've been like a 10 seed the entire season so far. Michigan is now down to a 2 seed after losing to Iowa on Friday, and Montana is new to the field as a 15. So we'll go down to this Anaheim region right here. Gonzaga is now a 1 seed after Michigan fell, and there's that playing game right there. Washington remains an 8. NC State scored 24 points the entire game on Saturday. That was it set history as the lowest scoring game in the shot clock era, which spans back to the 1970s. So that was just his historically awful performance. They shot 9 for 54 from the field. Sucks to be an NC State fan. But they only moved down, I think, 1 spot down to a 9. Joe Lunardi thinks it's an anomaly, that game, which, I mean, it is. You don't score 24 points in a game too often. Then Texas Tech remains at 5 after blowing out West Virginia last night. Florida and VCU share the spot on the play-in game as the 12 seed. Nevada remains at 4. Old Dominion's up to a 13. Maryland remains at 6. Alabama and St. John's are the next play-in game as the 11. Louisville remains at 3. Northern Kentucky is down to a 14 after losing, I think, both games this past week. Auburn remains at 7. Oklahoma is now down to a 10. Michigan State remains at 2 after losing at home to Indiana, and Loyola Chicago remains at 15. Tennessee remains at 1. Then there's that play-in game right there. Syracuse is now up to an 8. TCU's down to a 9. Wisconsin's remains at 5. Hofstra remains at 12. As you can see there's a lot of just stagnant from the last Bracketology. And Bowling Green's new to the field as a 14. Cincinnati remains at 7. Arizona State had a good week. They're now up to a 10 seed after playing their way off the bubble. North Carolina remains at 2 after going on the road and beating Louisville in the game that I uploaded for you guys. I was there and made a vlog, which is doing pretty decent so far, so thank you guys for watching that. And then Radford remains at 15. So we'll go down to the bubble. Last 4 byes. Ohio State has now played their way on to the last 4 byes, which is crazy to think because they're a 9 seed at the moment, I think. UCF, Arizona State, and Indiana, who saved themselves with that road win against Michigan State. I think that saved their season right there. Alabama, last 4 in, St. John's, Florida, VCU. First 4 out, Creighton, Butler, Seton Hall, and Temple. A lot of Big East teams right there in that first 4 out, 3 out of the 4. And then the next 4 out are Utah State, San Francisco, St. Mary's, and Arizona. So, as you guys know, every time that a new bracketology comes out, I go on Brackify.com. The link for this will be in the description, and I make a bracket for you guys to go ahead and vote and be interactive with. I think I'm the only YouTuber that does this, and I think Brackify is the only site that allows you to do it. And I'll put the link in the description for you guys to go ahead and vote. If you guys are new, I do this every single time I create a bracketology, and each one comes out on Tuesdays and Fridays, and then maybe a couple more times once the tournament starts getting closer. I don't know how often Joe Lunardi is going to post his bracketologies. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into these picks. So we'll have Duke and Bucknell at first, even though I think it's pretty obvious who would win that, even though last year I said that about Virginia and UMBC, and then UMBC won. But Duke's definitely going to win that right there. And I think Baylor will beat Ohio State, which is crazy to think about. I would not have said that earlier this season. LSU, I think, would beat Davidson. Then I'm going to go with an upset pick here once I pick LSU, there we go. I'm going to go with an upset pick right here. I like Mike Daum and South Dakota State over Villanova. You know, I got to switch it up every once in a while. Villanova hasn't lost in a while, which I think they're due for a loss. Mike Daum is due for an NCAA tournament win. I think South Dakota State gets the win here. I think he's a senior now. He's getting like 3,000. He's up to 3,000 points now, which is crazy to think. I'm going with another upset here. Lipscomb over Buffalo. Buffalo hasn't been too impressive recently. And then Lipscomb, I think, is a sleeper team. And now they're bumped up to an 11. I like them as a 12 seed, which I still like them as an 11 in this matchup right here. I'm going to go with Lipscomb getting the upset. Purdue will beat Georgia State. I think Texas, they just beat Kansas. I think that they can beat Florida State. I'm going to go with 3 upsets in this one region, and then Kentucky over Princeton. Then we have, once that goes, Gonzaga over the winner of Prairie View A&M and Sam Houston State. Washington, I think, will beat NC State. I don't think NC State's going to score 24 points again, but I think Washington does get the dub. Then Texas Tech will beat the winner of Florida and VCU, which I think would be Florida. Then we have Nevada beating Old Dominion. I think that the winner of Alabama and St. John's, I think, will be Alabama. And I think they beat Maryland. I'm going to go with another 11 over 6 upset here. I like Alabama beating Maryland if it's St. John's. I think that's going to be pretty close. It could go either way. Oh, there goes my thumb. But I think that Maryland's going to lose that matchup right there. They did not look too impressive recently. And Louisville will beat Northern Kentucky. Then we have, my computer's being slow today. Then we have Auburn and Oklahoma. Oklahoma stayed with Iowa State last night, but I like Auburn in that matchup. Michigan State will beat Loyola Chicago. Virginia will beat Rider. I think Minnesota gets the victory here over Ole Miss. Iowa State will beat New Mexico State. Right here, Murray State and Houston. As much as I want to pick John Morant and Murray State, I really like this matchup. Houston's only lost 1 time this season. They're looking like a really strong and underrated team. Plus, Murray State's lost like 2 out of their last 4 or 5 games to teams that they should not be losing to. One of them was at home in like the most attended game in their program history. I like Houston in that matchup. And then Iowa will beat Wofford. Then Marquette with Marcus Howard will beat UC Irvine. Kansas State will beat UCF. Michigan will beat Montana. And then Tennessee will beat the winner of Norfolk State and Robert Morris, which I think would be, actually I don't know who to win that. Tyus Battle and Syracuse, I think, get the dub here over TCU. Wisconsin and Ethan Happ will beat Hofstra. Virginia Tech will beat Vermont. Then I think Mississippi State beats Indiana. I think Indiana did enough to get into the tournament, but I don't think they move on in the tournament. I think Mississippi State gets the dub there. Kansas will beat Bowling Green. Arizona State, I think, will upset Cincinnati. And then North Carolina will beat Radford. And then first spot in the Sweet 16, Duke over Baylor I have. Then LSU with Naz Reid will beat South Dakota State. I think Purdue will beat Lipscomb, though I can see Lipscomb pulling off 11 over 3 upset in that spot like Loyola Chicago did over Tennessee last year. Then Kentucky will beat Texas. Gonzaga will beat Washington in a battle of the Pacific teams. Then I think Nevada gets the victory here over Texas Tech, though that'll be a good battle. Then I think that Louisville gets the victory here over Alabama. Then Michigan State will beat Auburn. I know I'm kind of going with the chalk here, but we'll see what happens. Virginia, I think, will beat Minnesota. Iowa State, in a slight upset of 5 over a 4, I think, beats Houston. Marquette with Marcus Howard beats Iowa. Michigan will beat Kansas State. Tennessee will beat Syracuse. I like Wisconsin here getting the victory over Virginia Tech in a 5-4. I'm going with an upset pick right here. I'm going Mississippi State over Kansas. I know this is not going to be a popular pick. Mississippi State's kind of been hovering in and out of the top 25 this season, but Kansas is known to be prone to an upset this season. They can't seem to really close out a good game besides that victory over Texas Tech on Saturday, which was impressive. I'll give them credit. But I'm going with the upset here. I'm going with Mississippi State over Kansas, and then North Carolina is going to beat Arizona State. And first spot in the Elite Eight, Duke and LSU. I think Duke wins that matchup. And then Kentucky will beat Carson Edwards and Purdue. Gonzaga, I think, will beat Nevada in a battle of the mid-majors. And then I hate to call them mid-majors because they're really good, but they're in mid-major conference. Then Louisville, Michigan State. Louisville won this one on their home floor and have only improved since whenever they played earlier this season. And Michigan State just lost to Indiana. So I'm going to go with the upset pick here. I'm going with Louisville moving on past Michigan State, then Virginia and Iowa State. I'm going with another upset pick here. I'm going with Iowa State over Virginia. Virginia has been known to suck. I'll just put it bluntly there in the NCAA tournament, and Iowa State's been looking really impressive this season. Now, this could change if Virginia beats Duke on Saturday, but Virginia has not been an NCAA tournament team under Tony Bennett. I like Iowa State pulling off the huge upset here. And then Michigan, I think, will beat Marquette with Marcus Howard. You guys know that Marquette's one of my favorite sleeper or Cinderella picks in this tournament, but I don't think they get past Michigan there. Tennessee and Wisconsin, I think the chalk holds here. I think Tennessee beats Wisconsin, and then North Carolina beats Mississippi State. Then first spot in the Final Four, Duke and Kentucky. I'm a huge Big Blue fan. We had that come-from-behind victory against Florida. We're not going to lose to Duke by 34 this time around, but I don't think we get the victory here. In our last video, I predicted Kentucky to win it all, but I think that Duke gets a victory here. I think Kentucky puts themselves in a hole early on in this matchup, and I don't think they're able to dig their way out of it by the end of the game. And then Gonzaga and Louisville, I'm going to go with Gonzaga here. Gonzaga's a more complete team. They're one of the top 4 seeds in the nation. And with Rui Hachimura or something like that, I think that's how you pronounce his name, I think they get the victory here over the Louisville Cardinals, which is still a heck of a run in Chris Mack's first year considering the talent he has. Then Michigan, I think, gets the victory here over Iowa State. Then Tennessee will beat North Carolina. Then first spot in the national championship game, Duke and Gonzaga. I'm going to go with another slight upset here. I'm going to go with Gonzaga. Gonzaga won earlier this season whenever they played, and I like them winning it again here. I know they're not too tested. Duke will have run through the ACC gauntlet by this point, but I like Gonzaga in that matchup. Then Michigan and Tennessee, these two teams have been kind of neck and neck throughout the season, but now Tennessee's starting to pull away a little bit from Michigan as the better team, so I'm going to go with Tennessee moving on there. Then Gonzaga and Tennessee, I'm going to go with Gonzaga winning it all. I think they're the best team in the nation, or not. I don't know if they're the best team in the nation at this point. I think there's 2 groups of 4 with Tennessee, Gonzaga, Duke, and Virginia, and then Michigan, Michigan State, Kentucky, and North Carolina. But I like Gonzaga here over Tennessee. Tennessee's been struggling with some lesser teams like Alabama and Vanderbilt recently. I think Gonzaga gets the victory here and wins the national championship. So, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe to get to 2,000 subscribers to have a chance to win an NCAA tournament ticket. And we'll see you all later. Thanks for watching.